Welcome back to We Are the People. This is your host, Jason Preston, and we have a awesome show today on the fourth industrial revolution. And we have Chelcie Hope in here. We're going to break it down. We're going to talk to you about what it is, why Utah, and the same people who are running Envision Utah are claiming that Utah is going to be the birthplace of the fourth industrial revolution, or the cradle of the fourth industrial revolution, what that means. We're going to tell you what it is, and I'm going to tell you, you are going to have your mind blown, because what the fourth industrial revolution is, it is literally, it's biblical. It is crazy what these people are building, and it is almost built. Then after we explain it, we're going to tell you who's leading it, and the person leading it is an absolute wolf in sheep's clothing. It's someone you know. It's someone who is being put in a very important position in our government, especially with Trump. And a lot of people have no idea who he is, and we need to know who he is. So we're going to explain who he is. And then last, Chelcie Hope, as she does an incredible job, is going to show you how your representatives who work for you are implementing this and laying the blue plan out right here in our backyard without our consent. So before we get started, I want to give a quick shout out to Dreamwoods Incorporated, Rockstar. Hey, if you guys are going to have work done around your house, remodels, use patriots. Support people who support freedom, and that's what these guys do. Whatever your finished carpentry needs are, whether it's cabinetry, doors, wood trim, accent walls, their website's dreamwoods.com, and I will tell you, they're rock stars. I just have the greatest respect for people who are willing to stand and fight and help us do this, because guess what? It ain't free, and so thank you guys for all your support, and thanks for supporting us and helping us get that website or that billboard out there. And it's turning heads. We're getting some people pissed off at us. We're already getting some people telling us it needs to come down. So we're going to keep it up as long as we can. And when it's forced to come down, we'll put another one up, because we ain't going to stop this fight. So with that being said, welcome to the show, Chelcie Hope.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're easily the favorite guest. You're not a guest. You're a co-host.
I don't know about that.
You're a co-host. We get more requests for you than anyone else.
Well, I love you all. Thanks for your support.
And they love you. And just please make sure you're following us on our website. You've seen a lot of the shows we've done in the past are no longer on YouTube because our YouTube got hacked. Mm-hmm. Go to wearethepeople.org. You can sign up for our newsletter, and if you're not getting those, check your junk, because every now and then they'll get put in your spam filters. So let's get started. The fourth industrial revolution. Right here, right in the Deseret News, Natalie Goshner. And if you've been followed our show on Envision Utah, part 1, you'll saw that you're familiar with her name. And she wrote this article about why Utah should be the birthplace of the fourth industrial revolution. Chelcie, I know you've been through this article. Tell us what sticks out to you in this article.
Yeah, well, the fact that she quotes Klaus Schwab, and she refers to Klaus Schwab directly with the World Economic Forum. She talks about how this is going to create haves and have-nots. So anybody who understands the history of communism and how that works, and the fact that we are going to lead the way. So they've decided basically that Utah is going to be the birthing place or the cradle of the fourth industrial revolution. So we're creating it and rolling out here in Utah.
Yeah, so I'm going to encourage you to, if Utah will be the birthplace of this, I think it's very important that the people of Utah know what the fourth industrial revolution is. So this is very important for you because, and the thing I love about the time we live is we do live in the most incredible times in the history of the world. And the beautiful thing is, and this is where we really try to tell people, is don't get lost in the national or global mess. Like, be aware of what's going on, but be more focused on your backyard. Because in your backyard, you matter. In your backyard, you can make a difference. And especially in a backyard that happens to be, ground zero, the birthplace of the fourth industrial revolution. Because if this is the birthplace of the fourth industrial revolution, guess what? That means we have the ability to stand and fight it here. And the impact you can have in your backyard is massive. And one of the things, I hope you've watched our shows on the on Vision Utah, because one of the things Envision Utah does, and if you listen to what she said about their representatives, is Envision Utah, they do this bogus research where they get all this data and they go present to your reps who work for you, and they say, well, we're the professionals, and here's the research we've done, and this is what your constituents want, so we need you to vote for this. And your reps say, oh, okay, and they do it. Well, this is your chance to speak for yourself instead of having Envision Utah telling your reps that they need to be pushing this stuff forward because it's what you want, because you want walkable cities, because you want this garbage. So let's go on. Let's actually do a deep dive. And I don't want you to take my opinion or Chelsea's. I want you to hear from the horse's mouth as much of this as possible so that you can see, so you can think for yourself and you can decide. Do you want this in your backyard? Do you think Utah should be the birthplace? So as far as let's jump into it here. So first off, what is the Fourth Industrial Revolution? This is from a liberal CNBC. This is not a conservative, right-wing conspiracy channel. This is right here from CNBC. Let's hear what they have to say.
It was in these Swiss mountains that the world was first introduced to the phrase the Fourth Industrial Revolution, and it's been a hot topic among academics, politicians, and business leaders ever since. But what exactly does it mean? The term Fourth Industrial Revolution was coined by the founder of the World Economic Forum, a former professor named Klaus Schwab. Schwab wrote a book with that title to describe an era marked by a technological revolution that is blurring the lines between the physical, digital, and biological spheres. Let's break that down. Technologies like artificial intelligence, autonomous vehicles, or the Internet of Things are becoming ingrained in our day-to-day lives and even our bodies. Think of voice-activated virtual assistants, Face ID recognition, or healthcare sensors. Schwab first presented his vision of the Fourth Industrial Revolution at the World Economic Forum's annual meeting here in Davos in 2016. But to understand the idea, we need to go much further back in history, to Industrial Revolution number 1. The first Industrial Revolution started in Great Britain around 1760 and spread to Europe and North America through the early 1800s. It was powered by a major invention, the steam engine. The result? New manufacturing processes, the creation of factories, and a booming textiles industry. From the late 1800s, the Second Industrial Revolution was marked by mass production and new industries like steel, oil, and electricity. The light bulb, telephone, and internal combustion engine were a few of the major inventions of this era. The Third Industrial Revolution, sometimes known as the Digital Revolution, occurred in the second half of the 20th century. In just a few decades, we saw the invention of the semiconductor, personal computer, and the internet. So what separates the Fourth Industrial Revolution from the Third?
Okay, and on this, what I want to do is I actually want to go straight from Klaus Schwab because I think he actually explains it very well what it is. But you see, there's the first, the second, the third, and they've all had to dramatically change the world. And the difference with the fourth, and I'm going to let it come right out of his mouth. Let's let him tell. And again, I want you to hear from them. This is not, again, this is very factual. This is CNBC, or this is right out of their mouths.
The Fourth Industrial Revolution will impact our lives completely. It will not only change how we communicate, how we produce, how we consume, it will change actually us, our own identity. And of course gives life to such policies and developments like smart traffic, smart government, smart cities. What we will see is that everything will be integrated into an ecosystem driven by big data and driven particularly by close cooperation also of governments with business, civil society. And this revolution will come at a breathtaking speed. It will be like a tsunami. And actually, it's not just a digital revolution, it's digital, of course physical, with nanotechnology, but it's also biological. And so three dimension provides a particular force to this revolution. So what the World Economic Forum is doing is to promote this public-private cooperation to master the Fourth Industrial Revolution.
What stuck out to you there?
Basically that we're merging, right, the biological and technological world, which is really the heart of transhumanism, which is the heart of what the Fourth Industrial Revolution is. And we're going to play some more videos in a minute here, but basically what we're doing is we're connecting via chips and other devices that we wear. We're connecting ourselves to the internet.
I think he does. He explains it very succinctly here what it really is all about.
In this year's conference in January, mastering the fourth industrial revolution, gene editing.
Exactly.
Opening a whole new horizon for medical science.
And you see, the difference of this fourth industrial revolution is it doesn't change what you are doing. It changes you. If you take genetic editing,
right.
Just as an example, it's you who are changed.
Yep.
Okay. So I think that's the heart of it. We've had the internet out there. And now what's the difference with the fourth revolution, industrial revolution, is this is something that changes you. It is the integration of AI and the integration of technology into the individual. It is, as you said, transhumanism.
Yeah.
And I think one of the best examples of, that, I think we did a show in the past. You can go dig it up on Rumble because it was taken off of YouTube. But we did a show on the Fourth Industrial Revolution, and you played a clip by Noah Harari.
Yeah. You want me to play that?
Yeah. We're about to play a clip that you shared from Noah Harari. Would you share with our listeners who is Noah Harari? Because he's going to say some things here that is going to blow your minds.
Yeah.
So who is he, and why should they listen? Why should they care who this nut job is?
Yeah, Noah Yuval Harari so Klaus Schwab is the CEO, founder of the World Economic Forum, and Noah is his number one. So he's right under Klaus, and you'll hear it straight. I mean, you'll hear it straight from his own mouth. I don't have to tell you, but basically he talks about how they want digital dictatorships and injecting, surveillance under the skin, and he talks about basically what the Fourth Industrial Revolution and transhumanism is, but how they want to be their own gods and control evolution, and the next step in evolution would be from human to machine, but they get to control that. So
Klaus Schwab talks about it at high level. It changes you. Now his lieutenant's going to tell you exactly what they mean by that, because everything earlier says, well, what does that really mean? It changes you. Buckle your seatbelts, because this is freaking mind-blowing.
In the coming decades, AI and biotechnology will give us godlike abilities to re-engineer life and even to create completely new life forms. We are about to enter a new era of inorganic life shaped by intelligent design. Our intelligent design. They can make better decisions on your behalf than you can.
I mean, all this story about Jesus rising from the dead and being the Son of God, this is fake news.
You don't have any answer in the Bible what to do when humans are no longer useful to the economy. You need completely new ideologies, completely new religions, and they are likely to emerge from Silicon Valley or from Bangalore and not from the Middle East. And they are likely to give people visions based on technology. Everything that the old religions promised, happiness and justice and even eternal life, but here on earth with the help of technology and not after death with the help of some supernatural being. So we may be facing in the 21st century a completely new kind of inequality which we have never seen before in human history. On the one hand, the emergence of a new upgraded elite of superhumans enhanced by bioengineering and brain-computer interfaces and things like that. And on the other hand, a new, massive, useless class. A class that has no military or economic usefulness, and therefore also no political power. Again, I think that the biggest question maybe in economics and politics of the coming decades will be what to do with all these useless people. The problem is more boredom and what to do with them and how will they find some sense of meaning in life when they are basically meaningless, worthless. What does a world look like when it is dominated by super intelligent but non-conscious algorithms? How exactly will the future masters of the planet look like? This will be decided by the people who own the data. Now, why is data so important? It's important because we've reached the point when we can hack not just computers, we can hack human beings and other organisms. But control of data might enable human elites to do something even more radical than just build digital dictatorships. By hacking organisms, elites may gain the power to re-engineer the future of life itself. Because once you can hack something, you can usually also engineer it. Science is replacing evolution by natural selection with evolution by intelligent design.
What does that mean? He's talked about a few things that stick out to me. You know, he talks about how, you know, this new fourth industrial revolution is going to create with AI this huge class of useless eaters. Yeah. And if we have time, we're going to play a clip by Bill Gates where he talks about how with the proper use of vaccines, we can bring down the Earth's population.
And fertility.
And fertility, yes. And you see that. I mean, I hope we can get to that in this conversation. But then he talks about intelligent design and use of data. I mean, almost sounds like these guys are playing God. Yeah,
well, he says we will be God.
And when he says we, I don't think he's talking about the us. I think he's talking about the elite.
Right.
These unelected bureaucrats.
Yeah. Well, and they say that, you know, there is no God. We are the gods in the iCloud. And they do very much so want to control, like I said, evolution of human into machine, this transhumanism movement. But they want to control reproduction, which is why, you know, the artificial intelligent wombs and why there's been such a push with fertility and, you know, birth into the technology sector.
Yeah, and I think this is something people, you know, I hope they realize is anytime a nation is taken over, usually they also take its religion down too and bring a new religion, because religion is what unites people. They're usually united around values and shared religion, which is why they're trying to flood our culture with different and collapse our Judeo-Christian value system that the Western civilization was built upon. And it's very clear these guys do not believe in Christ. He's called, you know, the story of our Savior fake news. Yeah. These people are there. If it doesn't sound evil to you, I don't know what evil sounds like. So let's go on here a little bit more. Unless you've got something you want to add about something you just talked about.
I would just say, I mean, we've talked about this before, but CRISPR, you know, they've found a lot on CRISPR in the U.S. Congress hearings with the vaccines and stuff, but CRISPR with this whole intelligent design, you know, now you can grow your child in an artificial womb.
Would you define intelligent design? Because he's brought that up a couple times. And so for our listeners, what is intelligent design? Because it seems like that is a key part of the fourth industrial revolution.
Yeah. So, I mean, intelligent design, basically, you know, we're using technology to design, you know, artificial intelligence design what we want the human species to look like. And moving forward, we're going to get rid of all these weak, useless, you know, eaters, useless humans, and again, move to this transhumanism machine movement. So part of what CRISPR does is, you know, they're talking about how now you can pick your child's hair color and eye color, and which is very interesting when you look into race and you know, the blonde hair, blue eyed, how that played in with Hitler.
Yeah,
the perfect
There's always been something with these people.
Yeah, but I mean, they very much so you're playing God by doing that. They want to be God. So every Christian should be concerned. And this whole Christian nationalist movement and trying to take down Christian values, these are the people at the top that are behind all of that.
And by the way, the Christian nationalist movement, we are going to have a whole show on that because that is extremely important. Yeah. And I think it is extremely misunderstood. And I will tell you, it is a psyop. But I don't want to get into that right now because that is a whole show. So let's go on with this psychopath.
Yeah.
And again, these are people who you don't elect. You have no control over these people. They're not elected by us. They're not elected by our leaders. These are self-appointed elite. And again, I think we need to remember that history is a story of the elite, the rulers versus the ruled, the elite versus the masses. America was something special where we gave power to the masses, the power to the people to control them. we're losing that across this country and across this world. And this is the perfect example of these people changing the world.
Really quick, just so people understand, because I think more and more people are waking up and understanding the threat of the United Nations. You know, Mike Lee has come out about defunding them. You know, Trump has talked about taking us back out, the threat with the United Nations. The World Economic Forum, so Klaus Schwab, Noah Harari, these guys you're listening to, they have a very close strategic partnership with the United Nations to roll out the United Nations agenda. So it's these guys rolling this out at direction of the UN, just to make that clear.
Exactly. All right, let's go on with him.
Not the intelligent design of some god above the clouds, but our intelligent design and the intelligent design of our clouds. The IBM cloud, the Microsoft cloud, these are the new driving forces of evolution. Humans are now hackable animals. You know, the whole idea that humans have, you know, they have this soul or spirit and they have free will and nobody knows what's happening inside me. So whatever I choose, whether in the election or whether in the supermarket, this is my free will, that's over. Free will, that's over. Today, we have the technology to...
I'm sorry, that needs a comment. Because I worship a God who respects my agency. Who values autonomy, who does not seek to control us. What I'm hearing here is that will be over. Yeah. And from what I understand, from everything I understand about the enemy of Christ, Lucifer, he wants to control, to reign with blood and horror through kings and false priests. That is his goal, is to control people.
Right. Well, he wanted.
It's very clear who is behind this.
Yeah, he wanted to force us to do the right thing for the greater good, which is the theme of communism.
Right.
Which is why communism is it's really antichrist versus Christ, communism versus freedom, because you've got force, versus free will.
So if this matters, we're going to keep going here, but again, why does this matter to you? Why is it important to listen? Because your representatives, Envision Utah, you have a group of elite, just like the unelected elite, just like the World Economic Forum in your backyard, i.e. Envision Utah, who are telling your representatives that this is what they need to build. This philosophy is being built, and Utah is supposed to be the birthplace, which means we have a God-given responsibility to stand against evil and stand back at this, and you cannot win a war if you do not know the enemy. You have to know yourself and know the enemy, and what we're trying to do is help you understand this so that you are empowered to fight. Let's go on.
We have the technology to hack human beings on a massive scale. Yeah, I mean, everything is being digitalized, everything is being monitored. In this time of crisis, you have to follow science. People could look back in 100 years and identify the coronavirus epidemic as the moment when a new regime of surveillance took over. This ability to hack human beings, to go under the skin, collect biometric data, analyze it, and understand people better than they understand themselves. For the first time in history, it's possible to completely eliminate privacy.
I'm sorry. What is the moment of the regime change? The regime has changed. It started during 2020. Mm-hmm. It is not just happening with these elite. It has happened in America. Look at the FBI, look at the CIA, look at every department. We have lost control. And some people think, oh, well, everything's now better. And hang on, keep with us, because we're about to show you that some of the people who you think are in the new regime or coming to save us are absolutely the ones who are leading this at the very top.
When dictators always dreamt about completely eliminating privacy, monitoring everybody all the time and knowing everything you do, and not just everything you do, but even everything you think and everything you feel. Whether it's a tyrant in ancient Greece or whether it's Stalin, they always dreamt about it. They could never do it because it was technically impossible. Now it's possible. Big battle over what we today call privacy will be between privacy and health. Do you give access to what is happening inside your body and brain in exchange for far better healthcare? My guess is that health will win, hands down. People will give up their privacy in exchange for healthcare, and maybe in many places they won't have a choice. I mean, they won't even get insurance if they are unwilling to give access to what is happening inside their bodies. The word freedom simply has no meaning in the life sciences of today. These algorithms, these biochemical algorithms that make up an organism are not free. There is no such thing as freedom. Earth will be populated or even dominated by entities that are not organic, that they don't breathe, they don't have emotions. Like the potential of AI is much, much bigger than any historical revolution. It's really a biological revolution.
Absolutely fascinating. I mean, to me, this is terrifying, fascinating. But the reality is this is, again, you've not heard. All we have done is played audio clips from the people who have coined the term, the Fourth Industrial Revolution, from their own mouth. This is the brave new world they see. And Utah, for some reason, is jumping and in bed with these people to be the birthplace.
Yep.
So there's a couple things I want to get into, because you keep talking about transhumanism, and when we've brought up transhumanism, and I think it's important we dig into that, because there's a huge movement within the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints for transhumanism. I don't know that many people know what it is and why there are so many members of the church, high up levels of the leaders of the church, who are pushing transhumanism. So I want to talk about that. The other thing I want to talk about, and what I want to get to, is the ability that they have to control, something's very similar. Well, how about, let's just call it what it is, Neuralink.
Yeah.
Which is the integration of technology into your mind and what that has the ability to do. Should we start with what Neuralink and then go to what it can do, but then go into transhumanism? Or do you want to start with transhumanism and then go to like Neuralink and how they're able to do that?
Yeah, maybe we should look at Neuralink. Maybe I think we should show the rat video.
Let's show that, because I think that will open a lot of people's eyes to what technology is there and what Neuralink is.
Yeah, I have it, I think.
I've got it right here, and I already hooked up the audio, so let's go ahead and play this right here.
Okay. I'm going to play a clip. This guy, he spends 70% of his time traveling the globe looking at new technology. He's I'm not sure what the captain means, but they call him the captain of the Founders Space. And they're rated by Forbes as the #1 accelerator for overseas startups for Silicon Valley. So he's very involved in integrating a lot of technology. He's got over 50 partners in 22 countries. And he gave a TED Talk. This is almost 20 minutes long, so I've cut out quite a bit of it, but I do want to play part of that for you guys. He talks about this emerging technology and kind of the dangers that he sees with it.
Scientists have done experiments with rats, and they have chips in the rat's brain. And what they did was they taught a rat how to do certain things. And when the rat did all these complex things, it could get food. Now, it took the rat weeks to learn that. Weeks. But then they hooked the rat's brain chip to the internet. And they had another rat in another city. And instantly they connected those two rats' brains. And do you know what happened? The other rat knew how to get the food right away. It didn't have to learn anything. The knowledge was transferred from one brain of a living animal to another brain. That is amazing. That opens up a world of possibilities, because if they can do that in rats today, imagine 10 years from now what they can do in humans. And we will go there. So, mind-to-mind communication. This is something of science fiction that we all read about. But this is actually possible today, as I just showed you. So there will come a point where if we have a chip in our brain, and you out there have a chip in your brain, we can communicate. We can communicate without talking. We can communicate when you're halfway around the world. And we can exchange knowledge. So, if you look at a world where we have these chips that are connected to the internet, all of a sudden, every piece of information on the internet becomes accessible to our minds. Now, when we look back at today and we have to go to Baidu or Google and type it in, that will seem so primitive. Nobody will do that. You will just think, what knowledge do I need? And it will appear there for you to use. But it gets even weirder, stranger, because we will not only be able to transfer knowledge, but we will be able to transfer memories. Now, so you could have an experience like skydiving, and all of a sudden you could transfer that experience to a friend, and all of a sudden they have experienced what you have experienced. It gets even weirder, because we will be living our lives as our lives. We know our lives and our memories, but you will all of a sudden have access to anybody's life who wants to make it available to you. People will open source their lives so others can download pieces of their lives and experience those things. That will be really strange. We won't know the difference between our own memory and a memory we acquired from someone else. Think about that.
I'm thinking about it, trust me.
So, all of us are here learning at SEEBS, right? Getting EMBAs and MBAs. Well, this will be obsolete because SEEBS will literally be in the cloud. And you will just download from all the best minds in the world whatever you need to know when you need to know it. So right now we have these clunky VR units that we have to put on. But in the future, you can just download a whole environment and actually live in it. And all of you might think, this is not real. But do you know every night when you dream, those dreams are real. No matter how fantastic your dreams are, they are real. You feel like you're really there. Our brains have that capability already built in. All it takes is the technology to stimulate and transfer the right images in our brain so our brain creates them, and then we will live like the difference between us dreaming and reality will be blurred. We recreate the experience, including the sensations, the physical sensations. It gets so strange because our senses now, we have our 5 senses of our body. But suddenly, if we are connected to a world of intelligent machines and intelligent sensors all over, we will no longer have 5 senses. We will have access to hundreds of sensory input, infrared, right? All these UV, all these different types of senses that we never even experienced before. No longer will we and our consciousness be confined to our bodies as an individual. In fact, if you look at us right now as a human being, if I feel pain, if I'm in pain, nobody else can feel the pain I feel. If you're in pain, I can't feel your pain. I can feel sorry for you, I can empathize with you, but I cannot feel your pain. But in this world, we will actually be able to feel the emotions of other people. You can actually not just transfer data and sensory information, but emotions. I would know your pain, you would know our pain, and human beings would never be alone. So, we will come to a point where we, as gods, like gods, will be creating our own reality. We will be redefining what the human experience is for the first time in history. All of our lives are changed by the internet. Well, we are embarking on a path now where we will become the internet. The internet will become us. They will be inseparable. It's something we as a society, we as the human race, must think about very, very carefully. Because imagine, people can hack your cell phone now. People can hack your computer. And it can be bad. They can steal your banking information, take all your money. They can steal your identity. But they can't really hurt you. In the future, though, if somebody hacks into your head because it's connected to the internet, they can steal you. They could actually steal you. They can implant memories in your head that you don't have. They could erase memories. They could control you in ways that you wouldn't even know you're being controlled. We are on the cusp of this technology that is so powerful and has the potential to so radically transform our lives in our existence, and we have to be very careful about how we do this. We don't want people controlling us. We are going to be making these decisions that lay the groundwork for this technology in our lifetime. And those decisions will affect the rest of humanity more than any decisions we have made in the past.
I know that's a lot to think about, and I'm going to encourage you guys to go back and watch that again. I watched this whole thing a couple times, because there are people who believe this, who are pushing towards this. And there's so many powerful things in there. We haven't even gotten to pre-crime, which is again, the ability these guys want is the ability to predictive policing, pre-crime, literally pre-crime. And Peter Thiel, there are people who are pushing this stuff right now. This stuff is not years down the road. This stuff is at our doorstep, analyzing everything you do. Neuralink is at our doorstep. And one of the things, I don't know if you caught that, is it's not just that they have the ability to see what you're doing and the ability to for you to control computers, but for you to be controlled, including pain. What happens when people like you and I who say, you know what, we don't want this, when this police state starts rolling out, when all of a sudden they can predict your thoughts and immediately punish you and make you feel pain? And I've talked about this before. Anyone who's read the Gulag Archipelago or studied ritualistic abuse knows that there are people who are very sick and very evil who, for pleasure, get off on seeing how much pain they can inflict. Can you imagine what is possible for these sick people and what amounts of pain they will be capable of inflicting on people who want to resist, who do not want to go along with this? And the time to fight back, and all this is prophetic. I mean, anyone who's read the book of Revelation knows this is coming. But the time to stand up, the time to fight it is now, at least in our own backyard. I know you've got something you want to share. What are your thoughts?
I just wanted so really quick, just to back that up, because this is directly from the World Economic Forum's website, as you can see. And it says evolution and hyperdrive. The central premise of transhumanism then is that biological evolution will eventually be overtaken by advances in genetic, wearable, and implantable technologies, so like the Neuralink, that artificially expedite the evolutionary process. This was the kernel of Moore's founding definition in 1990. Article 2 of the periodically updated multi-authored transhumanist declaration, so it's like their transhumanist manifesto, which, by the way, starts with transgenderism, right? Transgender rights, and it morphs into these kinds of rights. But it continues to assert the point: we favor morphological freedom, the right to modify and enhance one's body, cognition, and emotions. So their website is just backing up what he's saying about them being able to control and affect your emotions. And it does make me think of that verse in the Bible where Christ talks about in the last days during the Great Tribulation that people will wish that they could die, but they will not be able to. It's kind of what that makes me think of.
Yeah, so I want to get into transhumanism because at the end we're going to tie all this in, because there is like we said, there's a huge movement here in Utah amongst people leadership politicians and religious who are pushing transhumanism. And I want to play just a little quick clip.
Once you die, you join the realm of the immortal. But what if I told you don't have to die? What if you could live forever?
They've also got, just really quickly so you can see here, so transhumanism, there's two aspects, right? So it's either technology integrated into your brain, you become part of the internet, right? Or it's downloading these memory chips and putting they're trying to put consciousness into robots to live forever, right? So it goes both ways. But here you can see this out of China. There was a lab that's keeping frozen bodies and heads. At this point, there were 200 people, but it's the cryonics. And basically, it says it may be some way off, but mind uploading, the digital duplication of your mental essence, could expand human experience into a virtual afterlife. So this is from The Guardian, right? We've got papers reporting on this. That it says, imagine that a person's brain could be scanned in great detail and recreated in a computer simulation. The person's mind and memories, emotions, and personality would be duplicated In effect, a new and equal valid version of that person would now exist in a potentially immortal digital form. The futuristic possibility is called mind uploading. The science of the brain and of consciousness increasingly suggests that mind uploading is possible. There are no laws of physics to prevent it. This is from the Guardian. Brain activity decoder can reveal stories in people's minds. So, I mean, this isn't just some, crazies making a documentary conspiracy theory. I mean, we've got papers like The Guardian, reporting on this technology is actually being created. They also say a new artificial intelligence system called a semantic decoder can translate a person's brain activity while listening to a story or silently imagining telling a story into a continuous stream of text. And it goes on and on.
So, for time's sake, and this is something obviously we could go into, this in so much more depth, and we did go into it. And I'd encourage you to go to our Rumble channel. You can find it from our website, and if you go and look at part 1 and part 2 of the Fourth Industrial Revolution, you'll be able to find this in more depth. But for time's sake, and for the importance of today, where we are today, I want to talk about what's happening now, because we're at a point where I think it's ironic. There's a lot of people who are feeling this sense of relief, and we should. I'm very excited about Trump. But at the same time, I'm more concerned than I ever was because of some of the people I'm seeing surrounding him. And one of the things that that's been really hard for me to face and to wrap my mind around this past year is so many people who I looked up to and respected that appear as good are actually bad. And, we're very familiar with Machiavelli and the Prince. And one of the tactics he talks about is appearing virtuous and using any means while using any means necessary, including evil, to get to accomplish your means, but doing it and appearing virtuous to the people. It's the wolf in sheep's clothing. And, even the scriptures talk about beware of false prophets who I forget the name, how the verse goes, but who are inwardly, ravaging wolves. And I think we are in a day, and the book of Revelation talks about that, how, there'll be this, false, Christ who will come, the Antichrist. And so I think it's very important to be guarded especially of people in power. Our founding fathers were very adamant about power corrupting everybody. And I think we're in a position where it's like, hey, we have these people in power and Trump's there, and so we're done, and now the good guys are in. And no, that's never been how history works. It's always been the rulers versus the ruled, the elite. It is, and this country was not founded by the elite. It was founded by we the people. And so we always have to be concerned about the ruling elite. And there's especially one that we're going to do a few shows here, because I want to lay this out slowly for people, because I think people are going to have a hard time with this. But it needs to be said, and this is something that's been very concerning to me. And frankly, I want to talk about Elon Musk. Because if you cannot be aware of the Fourth Industrial Revolution, in fact, let's pull up this post right here. Elon Musk reported, he retweeted this post. Dan Ives, I've covered tech for almost 25 years. What I saw yesterday in LA, I think, was a game changer. This is the new chapter, the new book for Tesla. Tesla is front and center of the Fourth Industrial Revolution. And I know there's a lot of people, well, look what Elon Musk has done. He's, for free speech, and truly he's done great things for Twitter, and there are great things, but I also understand how true evil works, and true evil will do anything to make you believe you are on the right side, that you are an angel of light. And that is the way you truly manipulate people. And I think it's time to go in and explain a little bit about who this person is and how involved he really is in this. But let's start with his understanding who his father was.
Includes, and Elon Musk's father did an interview with Sky News Australia, where they were talking about Elon Musk and his father suggesting that babies be bred like horses. That's right, babies be bred like horses. Now that might sound a lot like eugenics, because it is, but it's deeper than eugenics, because what they're trying to do is create eugenics in the digital age, which is transhumanism, getting technology inside of your body. And of course, recently I talked about the pregnancy robots, how Elon Musk and Tesla have a plan so that women can have their babies grown in an artificial womb. Still, it's not waking conservative Christians up. He's talking about and already doing the experiments with the Neuralink, where he's openly talking about telepathy and how your brain can interact with the computer and vice versa. Of course, they only tell you that it's your brain that's giving orders to the computer, but in reality, it's really working the other way, where the computers can give orders to the brain. Nobody's paying attention. And this is the interview that Elon Musk's father did, where they start to go into detail talking a little bit about technocracy. So pay attention to that.
Certain countries, like the US, do have ageing populations, but my conversation with Errol also reveals views which veer towards selective breeding.
Elon once told a biographer, if each successive generation of smart people has fewer kids, then that's probably bad. Is he talking about eugenics there?
I wouldn't call it eugenics as such, but every nation has practiced a certain form of survival of the fittest. One need only go to England and go to Cheltenham area, the horse breeding area, and say, look, we're not going to breed the horses anymore by any form of standard. I've got a few old horses I found in Nigeria, and we're going to just mix them with your racehorses. They'll say, no.
A more sanitised version of pro-family politics took centre stage on the campaign trail.
I consider myself to be the father of fertilisation.
The president-elect vowing to make in vitro fertilisation free to anyone who needs it. California is the world's fertility capital.
We are busy.
I'm invited into a leading IVF clinic in LA, where they're expecting a big boost in business. Patients at this clinic can choose not only the gender of their baby, but their eye colour too. It's Silicon Valley meets family planning.
How big a part is Elon Musk going to play in the future of IVF?
Musk is a technocrat. He's an intellectual genius in multiple areas, and everything he touches seems to turn to gold. There's not much that evolves as quickly as Musk's technology, but IVF has done that, and I think he's going to find that very attractive.
Musk has invested millions in fertility research, but he's navigating his own complicated family life. In the hills outside Austin, Texas, there are rumours he's bought a compound to house some of his children and their mothers together. Musk denies this is true, but soon he could be helping to design family policy across this country. Martha Kellner, Sky News, Los Angeles.
So isn't that interesting, right? A hybrid race of human beings. All of a sudden, you would think that people would start waking up to what they're really trying to do here, and of course, what they're doing with conservatives. They needed to put somebody aligned with Donald Trump to lure Christians into going forward with the fourth industrial revolution and AI governance. That is the message. That is the meaning of all of these secret meetings that happen around the earth, the Bilderberg meetings, the Council on Foreign Relations, NATO. Everything they talk about is AI governance, specifically the World Economic Forum, because the fourth industrial revolution and AI governance is a creation of Klaus Schwab. But they don't seem to understand what it is because, of course, the job of the alt-right media is to keep them all in bed with Donald Trump so that they think that everything Trump does is an act of God. They don't understand what Elon Musk's role is in all of this. They think he's just some quirky, weird science tech billionaire who's smarter than the rest of us, and they can't even connect the dots with the occult symbolism with Occupy Mars and everything else that I've exposed in the past that they should understand. So a couple of weeks ago, Elon Musk tweeted out Novus Ordo Seclorum, of course, the new order of the ages, and it looks a lot like what you just saw, what you just heard from his estranged father. Real estranged, he's wearing his Occupy Mars shirt. Elon Musk has tweeted out in the past, accelerating Starship development to build the Martian technocracy. You heard the man in that video clip talk about how Elon Musk is a technocrat, but you probably don't know much about it. So let me just give you a quick breakdown. You see here, in Science We Trust, back in the first half of the 20th century, if you haven't paid attention to some of the videos that I've done recently, or you're new to all this stuff, Elon Musk recently tweeted out somebody else's tweet. He reposted it where they said Tesla's front and center of the fourth industrial revolution. And that's what this is all about. Transhumanism, AI governance. Elon Musk is literally proud of the fact that somebody tweeted out that Tesla was the front and center of the fourth industrial revolution. And of course, the fourth industrial revolution has been written by Klaus Schwab. So if he was opposed to the World Economic Forum and against them, then he wouldn't be proudly saying that his company is at the forefront of this industrial revolution, which was supposedly created by a complete psychopath, right? Who is trying to bring about AI governance, which is the message of the World Economic Forum. Back to the technocracy. In technocracy, there would be no politicians, business people, money, or income inequality. Starting to sound a little bit like communism. Those were all features of what technocracy called the price system, and it would have to go. There would be no countries called Canada or the United States. Think about what I talked about recently. Think about the states breaking away from the federal government. Donald Trump even saying that Canada could become the 51st state, or they could just call it the North American Union, which is eventually what the plan is. So there'd be no countries called Canada or the US, just one giant continental landmass called the Technate, a techno-utopia run by engineers and other experts in their fields. In the Technate, everyone would be well housed and fed. All material needs would be taken care of whether you had a job or not. Is that starting to sound a little like communist Democrats to you? Because, well, it's exactly what it sounds like. When you hear things like being well housed and fed, income equality, not inequality. These are all things we hear as talking points for the Dems, right? And everybody goes, we don't want that. We don't want communism. And you hear well housed and fed. It sounds a lot like prison, doesn't it? With those freedom cities that are coming. Elon Musk, even at the World Government Summit in 2017, talked about why the world needs a universal basic income. Joshua Haldeman was his grandfather. Elon Musk has openly been anti-Republican, anti-Christian, a face of atheism, and of course the face of transhumanism for quite some time. But all it takes is for him to say that he's casting his vote for Donald Trump. All it takes is for him to say that he's going to put up lots and lots of money and run a sweepstakes if you go and vote for Donald Trump. I mean, do you know what getting baited into something is? People were able to see that when they were trying to stick a needle in your arm and tell you that you can get a free gift card to Arby's a couple of years ago, and everyone was saying, well, this is a little desperate. This is a little much. The government's giving us stuff now if we go and do something they want us to do. I'm suspicious all of a sudden, because whenever the government gives you something for free, you should be suspicious. It was going out of his way to let you know that he promises your vote actually counts. Don't listen to people that say you're opting into a contract, that you're opting in to be governed. Now, another tweet from Elon Musk, which I mentioned earlier, the tweet about Martian technocracy. He also tweeted out underneath it back in 2019, again, when he was openly a Democrat, so it wasn't very suspicious then, but of course now people should be paying attention, especially since all of a sudden we have some Silicon Valley nut job who's trying to get Neuralink in your head, standing side by side with the potential president of the United States, and is going to have a prominent role in reorganizing the government and bring about AI governance. He tweeted that underneath it, he wrote, anarcho-syndicalism. Underneath that, anarcho-syndicalism. You might hear that, you might say, is that anarchy? Well, let me tell you what it is. It's a form of anarchism. It sees labor unions as something which will cause revolutionary change. This change will give freedom and equality to the workers. Oh, okay, and what else do they want to do here? Well, anarcho-syndicalists want to get rid of the wage system and capitalism. And for anybody out there that's looking around, go, wait a minute, Donald Trump's a capitalist. Elon Musk they're capitalists. They're very, very rich men. Well, do you understand how this globalist communism works, this global new world order? These people who are rich and wealthy will remain rich and wealthy. In fact, richer and more wealthy. The rest of us, the people who are poor, the people who are the middle class, will be slaves to them if they, of course, allow you to live and they don't create their very own version of the Hunger Games, which is what's likely coming next. So these are all things that should alarm people.
But you know, again, it's oh well, and this is the same thing with John Curtis, right, in Utah. You know, all our politicians it's election time. All of a sudden, John Curtis is tough on the border, and he's tough on this, and again, and he's a Democrat his whole life. And then he wants to run for office, and now all of a sudden he's a Republican. Oh, well, people change. Do people change, or are we just gullible? And I hate to say that when these guys are in the middle of their lives in their 40s, and all of a sudden they went from believing, syndicalism or whatever that is, the form of arcanism. I mean, all of a sudden they've changed and they've seen God, or is it that they need the right to go along with them? And you look at what he's building here.
So we're talking about eugenics, but we're talking about transhuman eugenics in the digital age. And if you don't know, again, some of the stuff that Elon Musk is showing us, here's just a few clips, if you haven't been paying attention, of what he's bringing about with these humanoid robots, making it like it's a joke, like, hey, you come home from work, and one of these things can make you, a margarita. Oh, yeah, great, let's bring it in the home. Meanwhile, on the flip side of this, Elon Musk is telling us that artificial intelligence are demons, and every single movie that's coming out every other week is about AI getting inside of your home and murdering your family. Sounds great, right?
I mean, with artificial intelligence, we are summoning the demon. You know those stories where there's the guy with the pentagram and the holy water, and he's like, yeah, you sure you can control the demon? Didn't work out. I mean, with artificial intelligence, we are summoning the demon.
Robot with arms and legs instead of a robot with wheels. And we've made a lot of progress with Optimus. And as you can see, we started up with someone in a robot suit, sort of down, and then we've progressed dramatically year after year. So if you extrapolate this, you're really going to have something spectacular, something that anyone could own. So you could have your own personal R2-D2 C-3PO. But fundamentally, at scale, the Optimus robot, you should be able to buy an Optimus robot for, I think, probably $20,000 to $30,000 long term. So, and what can it do? It'll basically do anything you want.
If you're going to roll this stuff out, these robots, this Neuralink, if this was coming from someone who was from the left, someone you didn't trust, someone who had the positions Elon had a few years ago, who hadn't seen God and all of a sudden had a new, now he's the champion of free speech, we would be up in arms. There's no way we would let this stuff happen. But because he is now leading us, because he's our leader and he's the champion of free speech, all of a sudden we're just supposed to close our eyes to this stuff. And this is my concern is, again, you look at these guys past, you look at who they were, you look at the things they've done. That is the thing our founding fathers taught. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's President Trump. Power corrupts everybody. And the most dangerous thing we can do is blindly trust. And our founding fathers hammered that into our head over and over and over again. And in a society where we have leaders that are so based, not in a good way, but so based and lacking in values, with the character, the type of people who are leading this country, this is not the time to say, hey, these people with these low morals, these low values, we're going to give you unfettered trust. And I just want to play this because a lot of this stuff, I will tell you, has been very hard to find. In fact, I spent weeks scrubbing the internet for a lot of this stuff that I was able to find 5 years ago and is gone. A lot of this stuff has been gone. You cannot find this stuff on Google. It is very hard to find anything about Elon Musk. And that is also concerning, is why has all this his history been scrubbed and rewritten? So I want to play this because you're not finding this stuff anymore on Google and the search engines.
Pop culture has touted Elon Musk as some sort of eccentric heavyweight genius with humble beginnings. But this is demonstrably false. Elon Musk was born in South Africa, where he claims he grew up extremely poor, but his family owned an emerald mine. As a teenager, Elon would trade emeralds for cash in New York City, and his father bragged how they had so much money we couldn't even close our safe. Musk claims to have had about $100,000 of student loan debt, but he received a full scholarship to the University of Pennsylvania, where he bought a 10-bedroom frat house with his friend Adeo Resi and ran an illegal nightclub. The pop culture claim is that Elon has an IQ of 155, but this has never been tested. And after being accepted into Stanford for PhD studies, he dropped out after 2 days. After dropping out, Elon began his first business venture with his brother Kimball, Zip2, which was essentially a digital version of the Yellow Pages. The brothers received tens of thousands of dollars from their parents, and yet Elon denies this. An associate of Elon's father, Greg Curry, got involved to bring in investors. But Elon's code was no good, so they had to hire on professional coders to rewrite everything. Zip2 was then sold for $307 million to Compaq, who later shut it down without ever earning a profit. Elon made $22 million, bought a $1 million McLaren F1 supercar, which made mainstream news, before he totaled the uninsured vehicle. Musk then went on to create an online bank, X.com. He partnered with banking expert Harris Fricker, Edward Ho, and Christopher Payne. All three ended up leaving the company after accusing Elon of lying to the media about the quality of their product. Elon claims he founded PayPal. Before the company was named PayPal, it was known as Confinity. It was founded in 1998 by Peter Thiel and Max Levchin. After losing millions of dollars, Elon's X.com was bought by Confinity in a merger in 2000. All Musk contributed at Confinity was his own power struggle. He made himself CEO and pushed to change the name to X.com. The executive team successfully petitioned to fire Musk while he was away on vacation. Part of Musk's resignation agreement stipulated that all references to founders of the company will be removed from their website, allowing Elon to claim credit, which so far is all he has ever achieved. Peter Thiel then rebranded the company as PayPal, went public, and sold to eBay for $1.5 billion. Elon made $180 million from the deal, which he then invested into Tesla, SpaceX, and failed company SolarCity. Elon falsely claims to be the founder of Tesla. Tesla was founded in 2003 by Mark Tarpenning and Martin Eberhard, who developed the Tesla Roadster. When Tesla Motors began looking for venture capital, they approached Elon Musk, who had the fake credibility as PayPal's co-founder. Musk joined with the condition that he be named chairman of the board. In emails, Musk was upset that the media was not giving him credit for Tesla Motors and went after Martin Eberhard, replacing him as CEO. He then forced Eberhard out of the company and rewrote the company's history to have himself listed as an original co-founder. Martin Eberhard, the man behind the Tesla Roadster, was promised the first Roadster off the assembly line, but Musk screwed him over on that as well and sent that car into space.
You can tell it's real because it looks so fake, honestly.
So who is Elon Musk? Elon describes his father as being an evil, abusive man. His father, Errol Musk, has been accused of being a pedophile and fathered a child with his stepdaughter, who is 42 years younger than him. This spoiled, narcissistic failure, son of accused pedophile, wants to put computer chips in everyone's brain so that we can merge with artificial intelligence. His girlfriend is now bragging how this could all lead to a communist utopia. And strangely enough, former Nazi and head of NASA, Wernher von Braun, predicted a man named Elon would conquer Mars in a 1952 novel that he wrote, which is odd because NASA has partnered with Elon's SpaceX to work towards colonizing Mars. Elon Musk, like everything else in today's modern society, is a fraud, a fake genius, to you by the fake news. Here's a pro tip for dealing with the mainstream media and all of pop culture. Assume it's a lie and research everything.
Look, this is for you guys to decide. I know people have a hard time with this. We want to believe. Well, we don't want to. We want to believe that Elon is going to come in and Trump and JD Vance and Peter Thiel are going to come in and save us. I wish I could believe that too. It just doesn't work. It just doesn't fit with history. It doesn't fit with prophecy. It doesn't fit with. It doesn't fit with what I see. I mean, this is why I'm concerned. I listened to out of Klaus Schwab's own mouth. I listened to Natalie Goshner about Utah being the birthplace of the fourth industrial revolution. I see what these guys are doing, building Neuralink. I see that who their past is. And am I supposed to put my head in the sand and just say, no, he's a good guy, just trust it? I don't understand that. I can't do that. I don't understand how we can do that. I mean, We look at our own leaders. Am I supposed to just believe that because Cox comes out and he says he's sorry and he's a good guy now and he wants to have lunch and that he's changed his ways? Am I supposed to just believe that? I believe we're in the last days. Everything in my heart tells me that we are seeing prophetic things. We're seeing things that appear to be like what we was described in the book of Revelations. But I believe we have the freedom to, and God sent us here to stand up to it and stop it. And I know God wins, but I don't think God's going to win because of these immoral people who are these who don't believe in God, who think they are God, who believe in transhumanism. I don't think that is that to me is the other side. And I think it's important that we know we are, because we are in a war, and you guys are warriors. But if you're in a war, the first thing, the art of war, is to know yourself and know your enemy. And what we can't be is deceived, or have our head in the sand and say, "Well, I don't want to believe it because I think Trump's got. I'm going to trust the plan." That's a psyop. So I want to leave that alone. You have the information. You're going to make your own decisions, and you have to have the spirit of discernment. And you have to use your wisdom. But what I do want to get back to is Utah, because if this is ground zero, which I believe it is. And I believe that the enemy is setting up camp here. I believe so is God. And I believe that is you guys. And it is people outside of the main church here and people inside of the main church. We're going to need everybody who to stand together against this tyranny. And I'm going to turn the time back over to Chelcie to talk about what is happening in Utah. Chelcie?
Yeah. Okay, so this was a Deseret News article that came out, Natalie Gochnour, on why Utah should be the birthplace of the Fourth Industrial Revolution. We are the cradle. So I just want to read a couple of quotes from this article that she says here. And Teresa and Natalie are basically kind of doing this together. Cox appointed them. So Teresa Foxley leads Utah's nonprofit economic development organization. Her association, the Economic Development Corporation of Utah, works with private industry and state and local government to attract and grow high-value companies. I recently attended a meeting where Foxley heralded Utah's potential to serve as a cradle, so the birthing place, for the Fourth Industrial Revolution. I really like her idea. We are now at the dawn of the Fourth Industrial Revolution, the fusion of technologies between the physical, digital, and biological spheres. Artificial intelligence, the Internet of Things, autonomous vehicles, 3D printing, energy storage, biotechnology, and other new technologies enable a new virtual world unlike anything we have ever known before. And again, this is all coming from Utah people. They're she's quoting Klaus Schwab here. So it says, Klaus Schwab, founder and executive chairman of the World Economic Forum, has written a book on the Fourth Industrial Revolution. He writes, "We stand at the brink of a technological revolution that will fundamentally alter the way we live, work, and relate to one another." And I think you guys have seen how that is. In its scale, scope, and complexity, the transformation will be unlike anything humankind has experienced before. Many Utah leaders like Foxley see Utah's potential to lead in this transition. They see the immense possibilities of billions of people connected by mobile devices, and that's another thing, your mobile device is implanted into your brain, right? We've talked about that before. With enormous processing power and exponentially larger storage capacity, both memory and energy. Combine this connectivity and power with new technological breakthrough, and you start to imagine a completely different world. All of this potential comes with a word of caution. Now pay attention to this, because they caution you on this and basically, but we're going to go ahead and do it anyway, right? The Fourth Industrial Revolution will yield tremendous benefits in terms of consumer choices and rising wealth. It will, however, come with the cost of increasing inequality, displacement of workers, violation of privacy, and a potential hollowing out of the middle class. The largest beneficiaries will be those with intellectual capital. Class structures will divide even more between the haves and have-nots. Leaders will need to be hyper aware of these impacts and be prepared to invest in a more generous but smarter safety net. The Fourth Industrial Revolution presents mammoth opportunities and challenges. It will change not only what we do, but who we are, which is exactly what Klaus Schwab says. Right. We need to make sure we invest in the technologies of the future and seize this moment. We also need to increase our empathy and capacity To serve those who may be left behind, Utah can serve as a cradle for these important changes. So we have announced that Utah will be the cradle, the birthing place. They are creating and rolling it out here, the fourth industrial revolution.
And that's why you see Utah, all the silicone slopes.
Mm-hmm.
That is why they're inviting all these people, Peter Thiel and all these elite into projects. Again,
and we did, when we talked about the 47G with the nuclear.
About Ukraine, what they're building for Ukraine,
nuclear. Peter Thiel and BlackRock are Texas Instruments, all these. Texas Instruments, which has just moved headquarters to Utah, right? Cox brought them here for electric vehicle chips. The CEO of Texas Instruments is on record saying that soon these EV chips won't just be for electric vehicles, but they will be embedded into brains. And that's a lot of, they need lithium to fuel this revolution. And so the lithium that was illegally being mined at the Great Salt Lake, and now Snyder's put a royalty program in to make it legal. The lithium that we're pulling from the lake, it is going to things like this. So Cox says it's for these, electric vehicles, but they're also moving to get private vehicles off the road. So that's what this is really going to. Okay, so just a couple connections here so you can see kind of some of the people who are involved, because you guys need to be aware of BioUtah and BioHive. And again, Noah Harari says, he talks about the life sciences, how basically life sciences mean that life, you are not a soul, somebody with a soul and free will, but you are basically a computer, and every choice you make is based off an algorithm, and it's part of this whole revolution. And he talks about how that's life sciences, and Utah is the, again, global hub for life sciences. And he talks about how that has stemmed, basically that came from his university. So this is from the governor's office, from his own website. I just want to show you some of these key players involved. So Merit Medical, he mentions Teresa Foxley. So again, Teresa and Natalie are the two that are kind of appointed to roll out this fourth industrial revolution. Merit Medical was given over almost $18 million in tax credits to continue to be a leader in Utah. And here you can see on Merit Medical's website. Now, if you've watched the Envision Utah part one, this is going to make a lot more sense who some of these people are, but Ann Milner and Scott Anderson.
Same people.
Yeah, same people. Big Boys Club, sit on the board of Merit Medical. She's over the shares investments, and you can see here they both chair the ESG, environmental social governance. Here you can see the Merit sensor, so they're working on a lot of these same sensors and chips. But John, this guy who is on the board of Merit Medical, he also is on the executive board of the directors for BioUtah. So if we look at BioUtah, it says BioUtah is the only trade association in Utah dedicated solely to advancing the interests of the life sciences industry. We work to shape public policy and influence federal and state legislation and regulation that affects our members. From startups to Fortune 500 companies, BioUtah represents all segments of the life science industries, providing a unified and effective voice in government, media, academic, and public forums. BioUtah members are encouraged to actively engage in our advocacy efforts, working with policymakers to ensure the continued success of Utah's life science industry. We know our members are focused on their businesses, so BioUtah advocates for you. They advocate for you guys before the state legislature, just like Envision Utah, right? Congress and government agencies. We also work diligently to inform our membership of pending legislation and regulation that may impact our industry. And then here you can see on BioUtah's own website, this is a quote she was recently our majority whip of the Utah State Senate, Ann Milner. So again, Ann Milner, Board of Directors, Merit Medical, sits on the board of Kempsey Gardner Policy Institute, connected to Envision Utah, right? These same people.
Part of the club, yeah.
Mm-hmm. BioUtah is making a difference on Utah's Capitol Hill. In fact, legislators like me rely on BioUtah. Interesting, though, that her company sits on their board, Merit Medical, and is profiting from this. They rely on BioUtah to educate them about the industry. We need to understand how the policy decisions we make can impact innovation, healthcare, and economic growth. So you can see Merit Medical, some of the sponsors, Merit Medical, Intermountain Healthcare. So again, the same Mike Levitt, Ann Milner, Gail Miller, Eccles, all those same people.
Scott Anderson.
Yep.
Again, go watch Envision Utah 1.
Mm-hmm.
And once you know those names, you'll see them everywhere.
Yeah, watch this again after.
They are the shadow government in Utah.
University of Utah Health, which, by the way, Steve Eliason, who is a legislator who helps run the homeless nonprofits here, he also sits on the board of finance of university. So, and you can see again, Intermountain Healthcare they have a direct partnership with the World Economic Forum from the World Economic Forum's own website. So all of these guys, Zion's Bank, so the same people.
Yeah.
And then, so BioUtah and BioHive. And BioHive and BioUtah are basically partnered together. BioHive is an initiative chartered by BioUtah to brand the life sciences industry in Utah, while BioHive is chartered by BioUtah. It is governed by an 11-member public-private board. So it's another public-private partnership. Telling the story.
Which again, unelected bureaucrats.
Yeah. Telling the story of one of the nation's fastest growing life sciences hubs to Utah, the nation, and the world. And then you can see the governor's office and World Trade Center, Utah. They're the ones that did that 47G. They're all partnered with this. So some funding is provided from partners in the Utah legislature. So your tax dollars are funding this, guys. And then I just wanted to show, Jason mentioned this earlier, this is the Mormon transhumanist movement. Really quickly, just want to show you just on their own website here. Christ talks about the resurrection or the transfiguration, right? So here on their own website, the Mormon transhumanist movement, humanity transfigured. So everything that we talked about today, that is their vision of transfigured. And then Evan McMullen, and it was Ali Isom. Ali Isom and Evan McMullen are part of this movement, and they both ran, for those of you that don't know, they ran against Mike Lee. So then I had one more thing I think I wanted to show you guys.
Well, while you're pulling that up, and here's the thing to think about. You can't have the fourth industrial revolution without digital ID. How many times did that come up through the fourth industrial revolution? And some of these videos we played about digital ID, about smart cities. You can't have smart cities without digital ID. Utah, we know we have smart cities. We can play the clip. I'm not going to play the clip. You guys have all seen the spot where I approached Cox and asked him politely what's going on in smart cities, and he lies. He gets it in my face, swears, and then has the media try to do a smear campaign on me. Meanwhile, we have videos of him talking about building smart cities and making Utah the first smart state. Again, if there's nothing nefarious, why lie? Why do this stuff in secrecy? And again, especially Klaus Schwab, if you go back to the beginning, actually literally talks about smart cities. That comes from the World Economic Forum, digital ID. Why are we doing these things? Well, we're doing it because this is the birthplace. This is the testing ground. Because, quite frankly, people's heads are in the sand here. There's a reason Utah had more people that voted for Nikki Haley than any other state in the country. There's a reason Utah's shifting blue. It's because we have our heads in the sand and we're being manipulated by our legislators. And we have media that is encouraging the whole idea that all is well in Zion. There is no problem with our politicians. And if someone calls out a politician, the media will attack them so that people don't look under the covers and look at the corruption here.
Yeah. So that was pretty much it. A super quick quote. And Jason, you mentioned we're at a war here, and I think it's very obvious that the ultimate war that we are in is the spiritual battlefield that we're on. And, Christ told his disciples when he was telling them about the last days, and they asked, well, when is this going to be? And how are we going to know when these times are here? And the one thing that Christ responded with was, take heed that ye be not deceived. And we're in that time where it's very, very easily to be manipulated. And without scripture and daily prayer, you're not going to have the discernment to navigate what's coming. So can I read a super quick quote by Ezra Taft Benson?
Please, yes.
So this is Ezra Taft Benson. He says, yes, it is the precepts of men versus the revealed word of God. The more we follow the word of God, the less we are deceived, while those who follow the wisdom of men are deceived the most. And we really are following, listening to men and the science. And then he also says there is a real shifting going on in the church, and it is going to become more pronounced with the passing of time. It will sift the wheat from the tares because we face some difficult days, the like of which we have never experienced in our lives. And I think we're starting to see it. And those days are going to require faith and testimony and family unity, the like of which we have never had. And I think in seeing this movement and what it's all about, that's starting to hit home and make a lot more sense. And it's time to, if you guys want to look at this picture, it's time to pick a side. I think we're there.
I love it. I love it. Chelcie, you're amazing. You guys are amazing. Honestly, like, I love our people. Like, I see you guys everywhere in Costco, grocery stores. Like, it's like we run you guys everywhere. And I thank you guys for your support. Thank you for sharing this. I mean, this is how we win. This has always been a war since the beginning of time, a battle for the minds of men. We win by teaching, by waking people up, by exposing with truth. Alexander Solzhenitsyn said, one man who tells this truth can bring down a tyranny. The thing these people fear the most is you. It is you talking to your neighbor. It is us putting up billboards. It is us getting this content out. It is you sharing it. Do not be afraid to stand up. Do not be afraid to share this information, because, and I'm going to encourage you to do one more thing. Call your rep, your state rep, not Mike Lee, not those, your federal reps, your state rep. Call the governor's office and say, we don't want this. We don't want digital ID. We don't want these smart cities. We don't want to be sanctuary state. We want the garbage going on with you guys in China needs to end. We don't want the UN in Utah and we don't want you guys implementing all this stuff from the World Economic Forum. If you have lobbyists, Envision Utah, these shadow government people going to your naive representatives and saying, this is what the people want. We've done the studies. And they are taking it hook, line, and sinker, because we're not saying otherwise. So you do have a responsibility. We can and we will win, but it is not going to be by sitting back and trusting the plan or trusting, that the new leadership in this country is going to save us. Right here, there's a reason we've put this on a billboard. There's a reason why I have this on the shirts. Trust God, not government. And anyone in power, the elite, that is the government. And the minute they step from being we the people to in a position of power, whether it's Elon Musk, whether it's Trump, whether it's J.D. Vance, whether it's Mike Lee or John Curtis or Cox, they are now accountable to the people, and they must be watched, and they cannot be trusted. Everything they do, it is your job to hold them accountable, not these politicians and not the government. They're not going to hold themselves accountable. So anyways, God bless you guys. What an amazing time to be alive. We will not be asleep. We are not going to have our heads in the sand. We are not going to just naively trust that our politicians are going to save this country, because the Constitution will be saved. But it will not be saved in Washington. It will be saved by people like you. You are the warriors God sent. He didn't send them. He sent you. It's always been about the small and simple, not the great, powerful politicians. God bless you guys. Chelcie, love you. Thank you for all you do. And I hope you all appreciate her. And if you see her in store, I hope you tell her thank you. She sacrifices a lot. And to me, thank you guys, because you guys are the one that make this. Yeah. We can't fund this by ourselves. We can't do all this. The billboards, the studio. This is you guys doing this. This isn't, I'm just showing up here doing my part. All of you are playing an important role in this too. So thank you for what you all are doing. And God bless you guys, and God bless Utah.